we go. New molds. Expensive lesson learned. I'm going to mix everything way better from now on. Let's check out the initial test results. And recall that this was a very unscientific test because I did not mix 50-50. This is the freeform air that I'm looking at now. I tried to press it into a mold, which typically does not give great results. Pressing any clay into a mold will not usually give you as good a result as pouring stuff, because liquid will fill in gaps much better than pushing a solid around will. Okay, and you can see the artifacts that come from stuff being pushed in there. You see all those little meandering lines and stuff that show where it was one blob and then another blob pushed it down. However, I mean, for this type of subject matter, old weathered ruin rock, it's fine. There's a few things that look a little unnatural. These, like 3 little wavy cracks together. Not a fan of that, but then super easy, I'm assuming, to just go in and dig that stuff out and give it a different kind of weathered look there, more of a chipped. Yeah. See, that's fine. And yeah, this is super lightweight. Yeah, I think even lighter than the resin. Let's see. Yes, this is about equal thickness, and it's definitely lighter than the resin. So, good to know. Good to have that material in my back pocket, should a good use for it occur. I had lots of good uses for it, 3 years ago when I was bulking out the Colossus body. That would have been awesome to know about this stuff then, but oh well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then let's look at the test that I did of the freeform. What was this? Freeform sculpt. So, this is my first test. If you'll recall, I pulled out this little stringy McDeely, and wow, it's very okay, there we go, finally snapped it, but that was surprisingly difficult. I had to put a pretty decent amount of pressure on there to snap that. The surface quality is like I expected. It's super plasticky and smooth. Yeah, so I could see using this for certain things. I don't think, I gotta check the prices again, but I don't think it's a significantly cheaper than the epoxy sculpt. That's kind of my standby. This looks like it would be cool to do for, like tile work and stuff like that. That's supposed to be like glass smooth and stuff. So yeah, here's my initial review of that. I'm sure I'll use it again before I'm done with this project, and I'll give you a better review. But for now, it's time to check out these new molds that I made. Got really colorful with them for no particular reason. I just had my So Strong tints sitting there, and I was like, I'll just throw some colors in for funsies. All right. Last time I did a very straight part on this. I feel like trying a little more organic sawtooth shape to help the pieces fit together better. I felt like with the very surface thing, it would tend to do this sort of wobbling thing, Whereas if they're a little more sawtooth, it's harder for that to happen. I'll probably regret it. I'll probably be sanding down this part more, but whatever. Just trying stuff. I also put different shaped blobs, so it'd be really easy to tell which side is which. You can see there's the big middle blob, that's like a nose blob. And this is just a much longer one. So put those in better, make sure my little snaggle tooths are all lined up. This is the piece I did just kind of on a lark. Just wanted to see what that corroded texture that I got from the poorly mixed resin would give me as a stamp. Don't know if I'll be able to use this anywhere or not. I built this little tabletop on the mother mold so that when I flip it over, in theory it'll be nice and level. I used a level to make sure this plane was pretty flat. Because I was having trouble with the last mold keeping the edges, you know, the resin fills it up to a certain point, and if it's crooked at all, then parts of it will be more filled in than others, which is less than optimal. This kind of looks like strawberry candy, that pink and green. Wonder if it tastes like strawberry candy. Ugh. No, it doesn't. I also put these little blobs of clay. See how there's like very subtle little undercuts here, which really shouldn't be that big a deal because it's rubber and flexible. But it was becoming kind of a deal, because when you pour the resin or you're pulling the original out, there's a solid as rock thing in there, so it really was causing issues. So I just put little clumps of clay, you know, like that, and then I poured the mother mold stuff over that. So that's what all this little gunk is for. It's not pretty, but it's effective. And I did the same thing with this. I put a flat piece of foam core on top of it and used a level to make sure it was flat. Left some landmarks on there so they'd match up in the mother mold, like so. Oh, and I necroed this out of the trash. I forgot that I was going to use these little edge pieces for wall details, so I'll just be holding it, well, propping it up like this and then pouring in that side and just using that. Okay. Let's do some more pouring. All right, I want to talk about where I've gotten so far and a challenge that I'm running up against and how I want to address it. So I've got all the square footage laid out essentially. I've got enough of my casts. These are 8x8 tiles, right? Like there's a row of 8 mini tiles in each tile. And now that I have them all laid out, I'm seeing an issue with, let me just show you an example here. So if you put a ruler down, you can see there's this line that extends, kind of a deep line between the 8x8 tiles. What that's going to do is naturally draw the eye to the fact that there's these tiles rather than giving the illusion that it's one large area that's just been, you know, each tile laid individually. So the way I want to fix that, there's a couple ways I could go about it. One way I could do is to like go in on all the edges and kind of extend each of these edges, do a lot of little micro sculpting around that. I think a better way to go is to break up this line, and an easy way to do that is to just slide each row over half a tile, right? So that there'll be a line, but then the next big line will be over here and the next big line will be over here. So that'll at least break it up in one direction. It won't break it up in the other direction, unfortunately. And then if that doesn't work out, what I can do is cut each of these tiles into 4. Just bisect it twice, and then I'll have 4 4x4 tiles. And then those I can rotate randomly as much as I want, and I can get a pretty, it'll definitely keep it mixed up a lot. So yeah, it's interesting. This is something that I do for a living in video games, as I make textures that go over floors, and dealing with the repetition that you see in that is always a tricky wicket, and I'm running into it now in real life. In real life, I've got some tools that I don't have in video game development, vice versa, I guess. But anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna try just sliding these, offsetting them. I think I'm going to do it this way as opposed to this way, because the viewer, the front of the Colossus, right, yeah, this is the front of the Colossus is here, meaning people are going to be seeing it from the angle you're seeing it right now. So offsetting these lines will help the most. And this is a little problematic because I've already started form-fitting the broken tiles to the front of the platform, which is really stupid, by the way. And personally, I know better, and I can't figure out why I made this mistake, but I did. Generally, whenever you're doing a new thing, you're trying, you know, I'm figuring out how to break these in a way that looks realistic and cool, and form fit them. So there's all these little micro lessons I'm learning as I'm doing it. When you're doing that on a sculpture, always do it on the back, because duh, you're learning stuff, right? Which means by the time you get to the front, you're going to be doing it better at your peak skills. This is something, again, in game development we've known for a long time. Like the first level that you play in a video game, almost always that was developed last in the development cycle, because that's when all the tools were in place, all the tech is there, everyone's skill level is at its highest. So yeah, that's what I should have done. I didn't. And I've got all these cracks for where he steps down. You know, in the game, he steps on the ground, it makes a big boom, and all these pieces crack and break up from the ground. So that's all leading me to think that probably these 2 rows are going to stay where they're at. Actually, I guess what I could do is I could just cut some of them in half and then move that half down and replace this half with a different half. That will offset the lines. So yeah, I'm going to just do kind of a lot of little futzing, scooching stuff back and forth. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing for a while. All right, let's get to it.